name is Jackson Archer. Welcome back to another episode of My Family Watches WandaVision for the first time. Today we'll be watching episode 6. Throughout the past couple of weeks, they've gone through the different eras of sitcom throughout TV history. So we started with the 50s, then we went to the 60s, the 70s. Last week, episode 5, was set in the 80s. So it would stand to reason that tonight's episode, episode 6, would be an interpretation of a sitcom based in the 90s. Well, that might not be the case. Going off things that we have seen over the past almost 24 hours now since the episode started streaming, it would seem that episode 6 might take inspiration from the famous 2000s sitcom Malcolm in the Middle, which myself and Jake are huge fans of. We've watched Malcolm in the Middle, episode 1 to the series finale, at least probably 4 or 5, if not 6 plus times. So if this episode tonight is taking inspiration from Malcolm in the Middle, we are in for a good episode. That's saying without any of the WandaVision goodness that we've experienced in the first 5 episodes. So I'm really excited to see it. I don't have much to say going into this one. I'm gonna hand it off to Jake now, who I guarantee you will have lots more to say about this being about Malcolm in the Middle.
Okay, so a few things. First of all, I first found out that this episode might be referencing Malcolm in the Middle through random Instagram posts that I saw. It was rumored that Malcolm in the Middle was going to be one of the sitcoms they were referencing. So the other day, probably 2 or 3 days ago, I was like, oh, well, you know what? I'm gonna make a concept of the Malcolm in the Middle intro for WandaVision. So I did that. I just made the edit for fun, and I posted it 2 days ago, and it blew up this morning when the episode came out, and I got flooded with comments saying, you were right. So that leads me to believe that at least the intro is happening in this episode, and I cannot be more excited for that. And it's also the Halloween episode, so we're gonna see Quicksilver and all of them all in their glorious comic outfits. So yeah, I'm excited. Malcolm in the Middle. Go
subscribe to ArcherLink124. That's ArcherLink124 for Walking Dead and anything content. I do have 2 things to say. First, I am very excited to watch this episode because from the thumbnail it would appear that this is going to be the Halloween episode where Wanda and Vision are in their comic accurate costumes. So I've been really excited waiting to see that episode. I'm very interested to see what they do with Quicksilver, if they even show Quicksilver in this episode, because as we all know, it is Evan Peters who plays the Quicksilver in the X-Men Fox universe. As to whether or not it's really Quicksilver, if it's Mephisto or anything else, we don't know, but hopefully they show some more of him tonight, so I'm excited to see that too. Do you have any predictions?
I have no predictions whatsoever, but as usual, I'm looking forward to the episode and I'm ready to take notes this time.
Taking notes is very beneficial when doing these kind of series where you have to talk about stuff afterwards. I'm very forgetful. Do you have anything to add?
It was earlier today that I found out that the Scarlet Witch and WandaVision are one and the same, so I'm excited now.
You mean Scarlet Witch and Wanda?
He thought her name was just
Wanda, not WandaVision.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch and Wanda.
He also found out that her name's not WandaVision.
Yeah, that too.
He found that out just now.
Wanda Maximoff.
It's gonna be even better now.
He's seen all of the MCU movies, but he's not as well versed within them as Jake and I and our mother is. She remembers quite a lot for not being a super fan.
He's a nerd. I, on the other hand, I'm pretty cool.
Malcolm in the Middle is, like you said, my complete childhood. I've seen it so many times, so it's really special to me that they're gonna be doing the intro. And when I first, in our first reaction to this, I was like not excited for this show at all because I thought that it was gonna be like an old-fashioned style the whole time. I didn't know they were going through the decades. So the fact that they're now doing a decade that I grew up in is really exciting. So I can't wait.
Her basket bag. That's about it for pre-discussion. So with that being said, let's get into episode 6 of WandaVision / Malcolm in the Middle. Yeah, let's watch it.
You're not the boss of me now.
And you're not so big.
Life is a fair.
Look, it's the Malcolm in the Middle intro.
She's dressed like Al.
Oh, I mean,
They're hissing.
yeah, it's based off their house.
Yeah.
It's cool, but I hate this music. What the heck?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Oh, he's...
Aw, Halloween's about candy and scaring people. But
It's like Malcolm as well. It's like Malcolm, yeah.
Malcolm and Reese.
Yeah,
Francis.
Francis.
Snow school. You scared?
Somebody better be bleeding, broken, or on fire.
Are you old Red Riding Hood?
Whoa! Sweet costume, bro, in-law. Half-shot corn. A booger.
Yes. Never told me much about your brother. I had no idea he'd be so
Go!
great with kids. Nickel watch is the only thing that stands between the trees and the toilet paper.
But their first Halloween. You have to be there.
Doesn't like twins need a father figure for the night? I got the old XY chromosome. Uncle Pete to the rescue, huh?
Time tonight.
Vision's gonna investigate, like the barrier.
Wanda, be good.
Where are we gonna put all the shaving cream? Who's Billy's idea?
You cut us off at the knees sitting in that missile.
Now we know who we're dealing with.
You work for me?
I actually don't know.
She's with me.
There's no time for you to diminish your colleagues. When you're about to start a war, you can't win.
No idea what will happen in there or out here if Wanda dies. If Wanda is the problem, she has to be our solution.
You have no idea what it was like. What it took to keep the lights on. Maybe it's a good thing you weren't here when your mother died. Clearly, you don't have the stomach for this job. Get her off my base. Now. All of them.
He's looking for a reason to sideline us. He's up to something.
Yeah, give me move. Unleash hell, demon spawn!
Remember when we were at the orphanage after Mom and Dad died?
You're testing me. It's cool. I know I look different.
Why do you?
I feel the need.
Fuck me! Ow!
All the candy has disappeared. Want something changed?
No.
There's a tear. It's like she's glitching or something.
I can't believe what a balanced you are.
Beast in your borscht. Stir up trouble with the Rugrats and ultimately give you grief. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Shout like a chump in the street for no reason at all, and next thing I know, I heard you calling me. Chip off the old maximum block, you got super speed!
I do?
Yeah!
Remember,
Don't go past Ellis Avenue. We don't want.
Who is that?
Wanda's brother came to town.
That's interesting. Hayward figured out a way to look through the boundary. And he didn't share it with the group. Why is Hayward tracking Vision?
These other dots, those are Westview residents.
The ones in Vision's immediate vicinity, yeah.
These people near the edge of town, they're barely moving. Are they alive?
Like the spell is weaker.
What does she think Vision's doing?
Well,
He said he was paying attention
Are
to
you
the
waiting for
neighborhood
something?
watch. What's she gonna tell him?
all lost. In the town you grew up in? It's alright.
You're one of the Avengers. You're Vision.
What's an Avenger?
Am I dead?
No, no. Why would you think that?
Because you are.
Killed by Thanos.
Dead!
I will fix this, Agnes, I promise.
That's sad.
He doesn't even know that he cried.
He doesn't know. Remember, he was an Avenger.
Or she told her boys not to go past him. You know?
Ellis Avenue, yeah. He was saying,
Or is
don't.
he gonna go through it after
He's gonna try.
My way back into the hex will be here in an hour. Just gotta meet my guy over the ridge. I've gone through the boundary twice already, Monica. It's changing you.
I know what Wanda is feeling, and I won't stop until I help her.
There's something big here, something that can help us. I know it.
You meet us out there as soon as you can.
It really is nice, right?
I think Mom and Dad would have loved it. Where were you hiding all these kids up till now?
What?
You handled the ethical considerations of this scenario as best you could. Damn, watch the couples stay together.
You don't think it's wrong.
Pretty big leap from giving people nightmares and shooting regularly was that parents. I'm not some stranger, not your husband. You can talk to me.
I only remember feeling completely alone.
Are you okay?
doing?
Vision.
Oh, you gotta be sad for Wanda. Oh my god.
I still think that Vision's dead, so I'm so curious what's gonna happen here. Yeah, and there's shots in the trailer of him like falling.
Or is this little man?
He's some other character from the
He's
comics.
probably.
Your daddy, he's in trouble.
He's dead, that's why.
It's not like your dead husband could die twice.
They think he's dying.
Hey, Doctor Strange in here. Dr. Strange should be like noticing this.
Anyone hear my voice?
Oh, that's messed up. It ends there. Loki, take it away from me, please.
You had one job. Just the one?
They had one job. They picked the wrong song. It was so bad. The intro, the visual to it, it was okay. It was good, but the main part I wanted to see was the music. So I am thoroughly disappointed. I like the rest of the episode. The cinematic stuff with Vision. It was really interesting, but man, I am so disappointed. I don't even know what to say.
One thing that I'll speak to in defense of the episode is a couple things actually. One, I don't know like the 50s, 60s, 70s shows very well. I don't think the intro music to the WandaVision episodes that were set in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was an exact copy as that of the actual shows were. So I'm not entirely surprised that for the Malcolm episode, they didn't use the actual Malcolm in the Middle intro song.
It wasn't even similar. Like the Bewitched one. Do you remember what the Bewitched intro was?
I'm sitting here trying to think what it was, and I can't
It was at
remember.
least still the same instrument.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. It wasn't the same exact style of rock music that is in the actual Malcolm intro. To the show's defense, I think we feel more strongly about it because it was a show that was much closer to our age, our generation, but also because we've seen it so many times. We love Malcolm in the Middle. It probably would have been smarter for them to either use the Malcolm song or have had something closer.
Do a
to
remix of it. Imagine going to watch an Avengers movie and it's playing Luke Skywalker's theme. It's like, what? That's not even close.
I don't disagree with you at all, but I think you also like the show a bit more than you like the Malcolm show a bit more than I do, so I think you feel a lot more strong about it than I do. Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing that it wasn't closer to what with Malcolm in the Middle.
I will say though, I did really like all the Quicksilver stuff and the ending with Vision. That was all really interesting. So yeah, I'm not gonna say the episode sucks because of that, but I can't help but being disappointed.
First off, the house, it wasn't like an exact replica of the Malcolm in the Middle house, but you could definitely tell that a lot of it was based off the Malcolm in the Middle
cabinets
house.
and the kitchen room.
Yeah, the cabinets, the kitchen, the couch looked very in line with what you see in Malcolm in the Middle. One thing this is something I'm a little disappointed on. I in past episodes had compared how Vision acts and how he like randomly freaks out about things. He reminded me of how Hal acts on Malcolm in the Middle. I was really hoping we were going to see more of that in this episode, at least for a little bit. Vision in this episode didn't seem as much like Hal as he did in previous episodes, so it would have been cool to see that as this is the Malcolm in the Middle episode. But I understand why, because Vision is becoming more aware of what's going on. He's trying to figure things out, so the screen time for Vision is in this episode dedicated more to that.
They could have at least done though, like in the intro when they were in the house and Quicksilver was sleeping on the couch like he was Francis and they had the kids talking to the camera. They could have at least had Vision like say something.
Yeah.
Like,
another small thing, this is back to what I like. Everybody was in their comic accurate costumes this episode, which I thought was funny and cool. But even Quicksilver's hair, he had the comic accurate kind of Wolverine hair almost. So that was cool to see. Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty speculation stuff. When Pietro and Wanda are taking Billy and Tommy trick-or-treating, the first house that you see the kids run up to, the camera stays on Pietro and Wanda, and as the kids are running away, Pietro says something along the lines of "Unleash hell, Demon Squad," to the kids, just jokingly, being a fun uncle. Speculation that Pietro could be Mephisto, or at least this rendition of Pietro in the WandaVision show, that he could possibly be Mephisto. So and Mephisto is the Marvel version of the devil. So I found it particularly interesting that he used the line "Unleash hell, Demon Squad." So that might play into the idea of Wanda may have made a deal with the devil, essentially, and maybe Mephisto wanted these kids. So part of him bringing Vision back was these kids who are going to be his demon squad. I don't know. It's speculation. But if Mephisto is indeed pretending to be Pietro, and that's maybe why he said that line to Tommy and Billy, it just all plays into that theory, that if Pietro actually is Mephisto. Also, Pietro, he seems to be aware that the town is fake because of the conversation that he has with Wanda once the night rolls around, and he says, like, "This is spectacular, how did you do this?" And it is way much better than you using your powers to give people nightmares. That line read to me that he knows that the town is fake, that something's going on. At the end, seeing Vision get through the barrier, that was cool. And clearly, he's not able to leave. Okay, here's what I think about Vision. I don't think that he's actually dead, whether that's through some deal with Mephisto or Wanda just reincarnated him somehow. I don't know. But I don't think he's dead, because when he went out of the barrier, it was trying to pull him back in. And while he was dying, you could say, but I would think that if he was actually still dead and it was just an illusion of him being alive on the inside, I would think that as soon as he goes out of the barrier, even if it's trying to pull him back in, that he would pretty much just drop dead and go colorless, in that state of when Thanos pulled the stone out of his head in Infinity War.
If you think that Vision is alive, then where did that Infinity Stone come from? Or is it even real, if she made some sort of deal? Because the Infinity Stones are gone as of now in this timeline of the MCU post-Endgame.
They're actually not gone. They're still in this universe of the MCU. They're just microscopic. They can't be destroyed. They've been shredded down to their last atom, as Thanos would say. They are still around, but yeah, that is a good point. Vision has the full-on Mind Stone in his head.
You hire Hank Pym to rebuild it for her.
Hank Pym rebuilt the Mind Stone for her. I think he is alive. I don't know how exactly, but I think it's entirely possible that he is alive, and the Mind Stone is just there as kind of a cosmetic thing, because that's what he looked like before he died. At the end of Infinity War, they were rushing to save Vision from being killed for the Mind Stone. They made it very apparent in that movie that Vision isn't just the Mind Stone. He's not just Vision. He's an amalgamation of Vision, the Mind Stone, Tony, Ultron, Bruce, a whole number of things. So I think it's entirely possible that in some way, we may not figure it out at the end of this season, but I think he is definitely alive. I could be totally wrong though, I don't know.
I wrote down 3 things. Well, first the Vision thing, when he was trying to escape, well not escape, but leave.
Cross the border.
Cross the border. I don't know, like, if Jack's right that he's not dead. I hope he's not dead, because I want them to not only bring him back, but bring Black Widow back too in some way, shape, or form, you know, in the future. That would bring him back, and I would love that. But it almost seemed to me like when he was crossing the border and it was tearing, I know it was trying to bring him back in and tear him apart, but it almost looked like he was going back to that state where he is dead. And even though you said, well, he wouldn't have any color, and I know how he died in the movies and what he looked like, and that's not what he looked like when he was laying there on the ground, but maybe he was still dying.
To me, it looked very much like he was fully alive in the process of crossing the barrier, and then once he actually did cross it, he was still completely alive, but the act of the spell pulling him back in, or trying to pull him back in, was what was killing him in that moment. So, and because, in my opinion, if he was if he is still dead while he's inside the town and it's just an illusion, then it stands to reason, for me at least, that when he crosses, that he would just fall apart again. So maybe I'm wrong again, but to me it looked like he's full on alive even when outside of the spell, and it's just trying to pull him back in, and the act of that, fighting against his want to be outside, was ripping him to shreds and killing him.
That's where I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I agree that it totally could be that, but it also could be he can't leave, and she knows that. That's why she told the boys not to go past Ellis.
Well, he can't leave because he's dead?
Because if he leaves, he'll go back to his dead state.
Okay.
Like, and whether that's just the way it is, or if she made a deal with the devil, that this is the area that he can stay in as his live self, and if he leaves that, goes past that barrier, he will go back to his dead self. I'm just saying it's possible. I don't know. I want to be wrong. I don't want that to be true. I want it to be what you're saying, and that he really is alive, because that gives me hope that they'll bring Black Widow back, who I love. The whole Vision thing is interesting. I think it's really cool that her boys have powers, of her and her brother. The one is fast like her brother, and then the other one seemed to have powers like her. So that's really cool that each of the boys have powers. My last thing was when the little boy who has powers like her sensed that Vision needed help. Why couldn't she sense that? Like, he went to her and said, "Mom, something's wrong with Dad. I can hear him in my head." Well, if she's so powerful, wouldn't she have known on her own that Vision needed help? What was up with that?
I'm not very well versed on the specifics of Tommy and Billy from the comics, because I'm pretty sure they are actually characters in the comics that may or may not be Wanda's sons. The way I think about that is perhaps, I don't know if that was Billy or Tommy who has seemingly Wanda's powers, but maybe they're not exactly Wanda's powers. But it seemed like he literally does have Wanda's powers, because his twin has Quicksilver's powers. He's
right.
Speed. Maybe the son who has Wanda's abilities has more of well, he's Wanda and Vision's son, which is weird to think about because Vision is a robot. He's a synthezoid. According to this series, he is Wanda and Vision's son, so maybe he has, I don't want to say stronger connection to Vision than Wanda.
Yeah.
But maybe, assuming he is a product of the two of them, maybe he could sense, that's why he could sense that his dad is in trouble somehow.
Okay. Since he could sense it, I just assumed she could sense it too. But that makes sense. Maybe he has some extra power that she doesn't. But I still think Wanda would know. Would be, you know what I mean? It just seemed as powerful as she's supposed to be. I was just really still surprised that she didn't realize it on her own, that Vision had crossed the border. She sensed that in no way, shape, or form. It just still seemed questionable to me.
Yeah, I think maybe her being in the thick of it with her brother.
Yeah.
Maybe that was...
Maybe she was distracted.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know, but I just still thought, So I don't know, those were my three things.
I don't have things. It's a good show. I'm really intrigued, and I can't wait for the next one.
Would you have had things if we went to you first?
No, I still wouldn't have had things. I'm just sitting back watching the show.
He's a nerd.
I'm sorry. I'm not an analyst.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you don't recognize or pick up on things as quick as we do. We are nerds. We know it and we accept it.
I rewatched the beginning of the episode. It was like Rock. It was kind of similar to the Malcolm intro, but it's still just so disappointing. But other than that, the episode was good.
I think Jack is right. The other intros aren't the same either. They're similar, but not the same.
Yeah.
And also the houses, the insides are similar, but not exact.
Well, yeah, I knew that.
So,
I knew it wasn't going to be a carbon copy of it, but I at least wanted it to be the music. That's what I was looking forward to.
Yeah, that's understandable. We're of stronger opinions on not liking the intro music in this episode because this show is so much more familiar to us than some of the past era sitcoms.
Malcolm in the Middle, for me, I love Walking Dead. I love all these shows, but it is my favorite show of all time. Like of sitcoms, of dramas, of just all shows in general. Just my nostalgia for it. It beats everything. It will always be my favorite show.
That's why it's so.
That's why it's so hard for me to.
Upsetting to him. You just said it. That's why.
You had one jaw. Just the one.
If they had the actual music, I was gonna go.
Yeah.
That's gonna do it for episode 6 of WandaVision. Overall, this was a really good episode. There were a lot of tie-ins, maybe not tie-ins, there were a lot of little pins and needles as to what could be going on, but nothing real concrete. So yeah, it was a really good episode. I can't wait to see what comes next week. Consider leaving a like if you enjoyed this video. It helps out the video and the channel a lot. Let us know what you think of the episode down in the comments section. Really interested to hear other people's opinions. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more fun content like this. And as always, have a great rest of your week. Take care.
Go ahead, ask me a question.
Are you a dork?
Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question?
Are you a dork now?
You're not the boss of me now.